Welcome to Community Conversations. I'm your host, Steve Mantis, and my guest today is Celina Reitberger, the Executive Director of Anishinaabe Legal Services. Welcome, Celina.
Thank you very much.
So let's just start a little bit with your own kind of personal background. Are you a local girl? Did you grow up here in Thunder Bay, or give us a little bit of your background?
Yes, I was born in Fort William, as it then was. I went to St. Elizabeth's. I went to St. Pat's High School. I went to Lakehead University. I taught for 3 years, mostly in Red Rock, as a math teacher in high school. And then I went to law school. And the rest, as they say, is history.
Where did you go to law school?
I went to the U of O, University of Ottawa.
Oh, great.
And then I practiced as a sole practitioner here in Thunder Bay for approximately 18 to 20 years until, as I like to say, I achieved perfection, and then I didn't have to practice anymore, and I went to work at Anishinaabe Legal Services.
Right, the little inside joke in the legal, and then
Yes,
you're
it
always
is.
practicing, you're a practicing lawyer.
Yes.
And I think I'm still practicing in whatever fields I'm in. But so how long have you been with NAN Legal Services?
I have been with NAN Legal Services for 15 years. I am on the verge of retiring, but I spent about 9 years. Then I retired for 4 years, and then I came back for 7 years, and I think I'm ready for a little bit of a rest.
Well, it's funny, I tried to retire too about 10 years ago, and it just didn't stick. But, you know, practice makes perfect.
That's right. That's right. I'm looking forward to it.
So tell me a little bit about NAN Legal. So I'm using NAN as a short form for
yes.
Anishinaabe Nation,
So,
which took me a long time even to kind of get my tongue around all that stuff. But
yes, NAN Legal Services was, in the wisdom of the chiefs of NAN, created in the early 90s to firstly administer the legal aid plan for all of the Treaty 9 area, which stretches from the Manitoba to the Quebec border and north to James and Hudson Bay. So it's unique in all of Canada in that we do administer the legal aid plan, which means we issue certificates, we make sure that duty counsel get to the remote courts, we have staff lawyer who gives advice, we give advice, and so it's a very important aspect. However, we do many other things. We do public legal education, and we do law reform in the nature of restorative justice, and I think probably that is the most important work that we do.
the law reform and the public education pieces.
No, the restorative justice.
Oh, the restorative justice.
Yes.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about what is that restorative justice? What does that mean?
Well, I think we used the title restorative to talk about restoring a system that was already there. So before the courts became involved in communities, they had their ways of dealing with issues. This approach was a much gentler approach. So it wasn't about being judgmental or meting out punishment, except in the most serious of cases when there might be a banishment. But we took these principles and we came up with our system of using healing circles to deal with cases that are diverted from the court. And we have been doing this for about 20 years, and I think we are very successful with what we do, and we're hoping to expand so that we can get into more of the communities. And in addition, we now use the circle process in child welfare cases, and that's called the Talking Together program. So those, I think, are the the hallmark of what we do.
So you covered a whole lot of ground there. A little while back, I had Francis Wesley on the show, and we were talking about the new Indigenous Peoples Court,
yes,
which sounds
very important.
Similar, using that circle method to really help people take responsibility for their actions.
Absolutely.
And describe a path of improvement in their own
Yes.
lives and in the community.
I was very much involved with the committee that brought forward the proposal that was approved by the Chief Justice of the Ontario Court of Justice, and with the implementation and training. And this is for more serious offenses. So if it's a case that is not deemed divertible, then it should go to the Indigenous Peoples Court. And I think the hallmark, or I'm using that word again, the kernel of the process is that the healing plan does not come from above. The judge is not dictating what the person will do. It's a collaborative. And in this collaboration, the person who has done the wrong has to be in agreement to the plan. So once they have ownership of the plan, it's very easy for them to complete the plan because it was their idea, essentially. So we have a very high success rate of people completing the plan and then not ending up with a criminal record. And even in the Indigenous Peoples Court, for example, if the Crown is seeking jail, but in the course of the healing plan and the process of healing that goes on before the ultimate decision, there has been a marked change in where that person is coming from, then there might be a lesser sentence, a suspended sentence, a conditional discharge, any number of possibilities outside of an actual jail sentence. So we are, doing what the court has directed us to do, which is, in dealing with Indigenous people, look at the special circumstances and try to find healing ways of dealing with the accused person as opposed to jail.
So
wow, that was a big one.
and there's so many pieces here. So you're in Thunder Bay right now. The office is in Thunder Bay. But we're dealing with, in many cases, things that happen in remote communities, fly-in communities. Just on the news today, our Attorney General Yasser Naqvi is talking about, a young person in a northern community who gets charged with an offense. They're flown to Kenora, say, held in jail for a trial, but then there's all this waiting time and they're not in their home community, they're all alone. And that in itself can throw a person on the wrong path before if they figure out whether they committed an offense or not.
Yes, we see that very often.
So, I was just reading an article about a presentation you were giving around Indigenous law. And so some of the communities in the north are trying to bring back some of those traditional pieces. What do those, tell me a little bit more about that tradition. You were talking about Sandy Lake earlier.
Yes, indeed. But I would like to just digress a little bit and talk about what the Attorney General is trying to achieve, and this is better bail outcomes. Because
Hang on just one sec, and we want you viewers to hang on too, because we're going to find out a little bit more when we come back from our break. Please stay with us.